Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we're going to talk about why. How big is your why? Do you have a why? And why do you have a why? You know, there's an awful lot of talk recently about you've got to have a big why. It's all about the big why. The why is big enough, you can make anything happen. Well, I think that's a load of BS, and I'll tell you why. If you only have one why, and something gets in the way, something chisels away at the foundation of what that why is all about, you forget about that why, or that why just doesn't become important to you anymore, you no longer have the foundation to keep you going. So here is what I discovered. Instead of having one big why, have a bunch of whys that you interweave with each other to create a strong foundation, a strong cable, just like, steel cables. They don't have just one rod of steel. It's smaller rods of steel woven together to create a very strong device or bar, wire. Because when you weave it together, the strength, even if you take, 10 pieces of hair, weave those things together, the strength in that is amazing. So recently, as you know, I've completed my second Ironman within 4 weeks, 34 days. And this particular one was extremely difficult because, one is it came within 34 days of the first one, but also the conditions during the run were absolutely horrific. It rained about 9 inches of rain in 4 hours. So 4 hours during the run, it was a torrential downpour, 4 inches, 5 inches of water on the road. It was just hideous. And my feet, I suffer from blisters. That's one thing, actually, the most difficult part about these races is blisters for me. So as soon as I got off the bike, I could feel that my feet were already all ripped up. And as I got on my shoes, I could just feel the blisters they were already there. And I hadn't even started to run yet. And I remember sitting there saying, why am I doing this? And I looked back and I said, first of all, I promised everybody that this is what I was going to do. I made a commitment on Facebook and on social media and said, this is what I'm going to do. This is the day I'm going to be doing it. Stay tuned. I will do this. I keep my word. My coach had flown down from Atlanta, Georgia to Florida to see the race. I wasn't going to disappoint her. There were people that were counting on me. And I realized that if I didn't make it through, regardless of how painful it was, I'd have to do it all over again. I made a commitment that it was going to happen this year. The race in Panama City got canceled because of the Hurricane Michael going through. They actually rescheduled it, put it in Haines City, Florida. And I actually committed to going to either Argentina or to Mexico before the end of the year so I could complete the task of doing a full Ironman before the end of the year. Now, if you've listened to a couple of the other shows, the Ironman that was in Chattanooga, the swim portion got canceled because of E. coli in the river. So this was my last registered chance in the year 2018 in order to get a full Ironman done, swim, bike, and run. For those of you that are not familiar with an Ironman, it's a 2.4-mile swim, it's a 112-mile bike, and it's a marathon, 26.2-mile run after you're all done. It took me 16 and a half hours. So as I'm out there, and it was 3 loops on the run. So I finished 1 loop, and now my feet, they're bleeding. They are just, every step I take is just absolutely excruciating. And it took an awful lot of courage to figure how to keep going. And it wasn't because I had one why, it's because I had multiple whys. My kids were counting on me. This was something that I was gonna do. What I want you to do is figure out, what have you been struggling with getting done? What's that one thing or those 2 things that just never seem to get done? I guarantee you there's not enough whys. You haven't created a big enough why. I want you to take all the small whys, stack them on top of each other, and start to weave them together so you have an unbreakable why. So what is that why for you? What is it? What is that one thing you're trying to do? And then figure out multiple whys. Come up with 8, 10, 12 whys. Tell the world what you're going to do, when you're going to do it by. Have someone hold you accountable and keep going. Remember tomorrow. You know, it's easy to quit when the pain is there. It's easy to come up with an excuse. Just don't stop, because tomorrow, the only thing that you'll feel in addition to being in pain is going to be regret. I realized that when I was out there on the course, as I was running, that tomorrow I was going to hurt, regardless if I finished the course or I did not finish the course. And I did not want packed on to this physical hurt to be the emotional hurt of realizing that I could have kept going, but I did not. You know, in our head, we have many voices that talk to us. And you always have that one voice that says, this is it, you've done enough, this is good, stop now, take it easy. Don't listen to it. Feed the voice within your head that says, I will do this, I will keep moving. I don't care if it's athletics, I don't care if it's in your business, I don't care if it's any part of your life. Figure out, write down why. What are your whys? Combine them together, stack them, interweave them, and you will have an unbreakable why, and you will accomplish anything that you set your mind to. I would love to hear from you. Drop me an email, if you would, thor@thorconklin.com. I would love to hear what your whys are. Why are you doing what you're doing? And how has this helped move you forward, further, faster, in a more efficient and a more effective manner? Have a great week. Look forward to seeing you back here on the Peak See, I can't even remember what the show is. See you back here on the Peak Performance Podcast. Have a great week.